Hello Scene Peepers. Welcome back to our channel. I hope you enjoy our movie reviews so far. Today, I would like to explain a 2017 South Korean fantasy action movie called Along with the Gods. If you are into fantasy stories or anything about the afterlife, this film is definitely for you. Spoilers ahead, take care, and enjoy. The story focuses on a firefighter called Kim Ja-hong who dies in the line of duty. It is mentioned that after one person dies, he or she will be judged in 7 hells for 49 days. If they pass all the trials, they will be reincarnated again instantly. Kim Ja-hong dies when he tries to save a kid from a fire incident. He died after falling from the high building. At first, Ja-hong doesn't know that he had died until his name is called by 2 guardians of the afterlife, Deok-chun and Hae-won-mek. His guardians later told him about his death time and his status as a paragon soul. He died in honor and seems to be able to reincarnate by skipping all the 7 hell trials in 49 days. After seeing his own body, Ja-hong gets shocked and confused. He said he isn't ready to die now and he doesn't want to leave his mom alone. However, he can't get back to his own body. His soul floats and continues its journey to the afterlife. Meanwhile, one of his 3 guardians, Gang Rim, visits the funeral house to check Ja-hong's mom and brother. We can see from this scene that Ja-hong's mom has some difficulties communicating like normal people. Arriving at the afterlife gate, Ja-hong later is introduced to Gang Rim. Together with 3 of his guardians, he later arrives in his first court, Hell of Murder. Before facing the god of murder Hell, Deok-chun is shown scanning Ja-hong's life to find out who he has murdered when he is still alive. In this first court, Ja-hong is charged with the indirect murder of a colleague who was trapped behind rubble following a fire incident. He is prosecuted for not saving his colleague and letting him die in that incident. Gang Rim defends him during the trial. As Ja-hong was about to be sentenced, it is revealed that his colleague advised him to prioritize the civilians. Ja-hong attempted to return for his colleague after rescuing 8 others, but was stopped as the building collapsed. Ja-hong is then acquitted by the god of murder Hell and is allowed to continue his trial at the next court. On his way to the second Hell court, Ja-hong told his guardians that he doesn't want to reincarnate. He later is told by Gang Rim that the Hell of Indolence is their next destination, and Ja-hong will be acquitted if he doesn't talk back to the goddess of indolence. In the second court, Hell of Indolence, Ja-hong guardians displayed his selflessness and dedication, telling the goddess that Ja-hong has been working hard during his life. The goddess of indolence seems to be impressed by his dedication. However, Ja-hong states unequivocally that he solely works for money. His statement makes the goddess of indolence angry. When Ja-hong was about to be sentenced, Gang Rim interjected, explaining that the money was for his brother's and mother's upkeep. Ja-hong's mom is sick and his brother's law school's tuition isn't cheap. They need the money. That's why Ja-hong keeps working even on his day offs and never rests. The goddess of indolence pity him and therefore acquit him, letting Ja-hong continue his trial to the next hell. On their way to the third court, Hell of Deceit, Ja-hong and his guardians have to pass Knives Forest. Gang Rim confronts Ja-hong and warns him to follow his advice, or dangerous things like what happened in the previous court will delay their trial and Ja-hong can't reincarnate. After hearing from Hae-won-mek that he will be allowed to visit his mom in a dream before reincarnating, Ja-hong is motivated to finish the trial as fast as he can. However, on their path to reach Hell of Deceit, as the physics of hell begin to shift, ghouls start to attack them. This change indicates that a member of Ja-hong's family had died and become a vengeful spirit. While the rest of the group continues, Gang Rim departs the party to investigate this phenomenon. When visiting Ja-hong's family, Gang Rim later finds out that Ja-hong's mom is mute. His brother is now in the military, that's why his mom is living alone now. Gang Rim later told Ja-hong's mom that he is a friend who came to pay condolence. He also finds out that the vengeful spirit is Ja-hong's brother, Suhong. Suhong somehow died but the reason behind it is still a mystery. Gang Rim tries to catch Suhong since he will disturb Ja-hong's trial, but he fails. In the Hell of Deceit, Ja-hong is accused of forging letters to the families of those who have died, including Ji-yeon, his deceased colleague's daughter. Gang Rim supernaturally links with Deok-chun from the living world to defend Ja-hong. Gang Rim claimed that Ja-hong had similarly composed fictitious letters to his mother to cheer her up, and allow her to concentrate on her health. And that, even though she knew her father was gone, the letters to Ji-yeon helped her cope with her grief. The charges are dropped and the evidence is thrown out. While investigating the reason behind Suhong's death, Gang Rim discovers that Suhong was accidentally shot by his colleague Dong-yeon while on watch duty, and that his death was hushed up by their supervisor, Lieutenant Park. It is revealed that Suhong is still alive. However, instead of trying to save him, Lieutenant Park and Dong Yan buried him alive. On the other hand, Deok Shun, Hae Won Make, and Ja Hong continue their journey to the next trial. They passed Hell of Injustice and Hell of Betrayal without trial. Passing the Hell of Injustice, Deok Shun explains to Ja Hong that in the Hell of Injustice, people who refuse to help others will be locked in the ice cube of their cold hearts. While riding a cable car, Hae Won Make accidentally blurts out that Suhong has died and becomes a vengeful spirit, causing some troubles in their journey. The trio even nearly fell from the cable car because of this. Gang Rim continues his investigation into the human world. Suhong later tries to kill Dong Yan, but his attempt is foiled by Gang Rim. Gang Rim discovers that Suhong's anger was against Dong Yan and Lieutenant Park, not Ja Hong. Gang Rim also tells Suhong that after he becomes a vengeful spirit, his brother's trial got disturbed and delayed. Suhong reveals that he feels suffocated being buried alive. During his conversation with Suhong, Gang Rim somehow sees his past life, indicating he once also saw someone buried alive during the war. Suhong is furious and escapes, leaving Gang Rim no choice but to get back to the afterlife to escort Ja Hong. It is also shown in the movie that after seeing him get back, Ja Hong begs him to save his brother. In human life, Dong Yan, who feels guilty after Suhong's death, tips off Suhong's mother on the location of his body. Dong Yan attempts suicide, but he is saved by Gang Rim at Suhong's request after the latter agreed to cooperate. Gang Rim even helps Suhong to tell Dong Yan a few last words, asking the latter not to cry about everything that has happened. On the other hand, Ja Hong, Deok Shun, Hae Won Make arrive in the Hell of Violence. In the Hell of Violence, Ja Hong is tried for abusing Suhong when they were little. Ja Hong wasn't forgiven, he is convicted and is set to be punished. However, Gang Rim directs Deok Shun to request a combined trial at the next court. The request is approved and the trio continues their journey to the next trial. Meanwhile, in human life, it is shown that Suhong isn't a vengeful spirit anymore. His mom later comes to the military camp, looking for Suhong's body, and showing Lieutenant Park the map that is given by Dong Yan. The map shows where Suhong's body is. Seeing Lieutenant Park pushing his mother and treating her badly, Suhong burns in anger and becomes a powerful vengeful spirit. His anger causes a sandstorm, both in the military camp and in the afterlife. He wants to kill Lieutenant Park by causing a big tornado, however, after seeing Ja Hong is nearly buried by the sand, he lets go of his revenge. The tornado is gone and his brother can continue his trial. Ja Hong arrives in his last trial, Hell of Filial. Ja Hong is promptly judged guilty by Omra in the Hell of Filial. He discovers that his mother was awake on the night of his attempted murder-suicide, and had opted to accept it because she was a burden on her family. He was caught by Suhong, that's why he beat up his brother in a fit of rage. Feeling ashamed of himself, Ja Hong leaves his family, preferring not to be a burden and committing his life to support them. Suhong helps Ja Hong enter his mother's dream with the help of Gang Rim and Won Make. He talks to his mother heart to heart. Suhong asks his mom not to search him at the military camp again. In her dream, their mom can speak and for the first time, those two brothers can hear how her mom's voice sounds. He later also discovers that their mom had already forgiven Ja Hong for that night, saying that it is really bad luck for those brothers to have a mom like her. After finding out that their mom already forgave Ja Hong, Yomura allowed Ja Hong to reincarnate, because faults that have been forgiven in the living world aren't allowed to be judged in the afterlife. Back in human life, Suhong isn't a vengeful spirit anymore. Gang Rim then understands that Yomura has been interfering with his inquiry into Suhong, by disguising himself as Won Make. He doesn't know why Yomura tests him. After that, somehow Suhong also has been chosen as a paragon soul, which is weird because the vengeful spirit shouldn't be able to even enter the afterlife trial. Suhong will be the group's final soul before their reincarnation. At the end of the movie, it is shown that Gang Rim goes to confront Yomura personally, which also gives some clues to the movie sequel. This movie can make your heart up and down. You can feel the adrenaline while watching the first several parts of this movie, and even feel thrilled to watch every Ja Hong's trial scene. Things get a bit serious after Suhong becomes a vengeful spirit. The minor character, Du Yun, can even make you feel angry because of his clumsiness. All in all, every character in this movie leaves a deep impression on us. Ja Hong's last trial and Suhong's conversation with their mom in her dream, is the most beautiful scene in the movie. You may want to prepare some boxes of tissue just to watch this part. What do you think about the movie? Leave your comments below. Kindly subscribe to this channel for more similar videos. Please like and turn on notifications for more updates. Stay tuned. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.